Aruna. I'm on your way? Okay. All right. So I live in Dallas, Texas. Over the last 3 days, I was asked several times, did I really fly from the US all the way to Delhi for this conference? My answer is actually yes, for 4 reasons. One is, I think it's always an honor to be selected as a speaker. You got to respect that. Number 2, I really believe in their cause, what they're trying to do here, a groundswell movement like this. So I was thinking to support that. Thirdly, my parents live in India, so I took that as an opportunity. And I had a high school reunion. I went to school in Delhi. So us girls met and we had a good time. So that's why. Thank you. Right. So why am I talking about this? What do I mean by fake speed versus effective speed? I've been in the agile space for 12 years. I've been through 5 large transformation engagements over the last 10 of those years. And there's one thing that has stood out for me in all those 10 years, right? And the closest thing I can call that is this thing called fake speed. And this word crystallized in my head after Mr. Trump came to power, and we hear a lot of hashtag fake news. So, and in an incident I'd like to recall to you guys is that, or recite to you guys is, I was in the car with my father-in-law one day. We were driving and we hit a traffic jam. The man couldn't stand sitting in that traffic jam. All right? It was only a distance of about like 25 feet between him and the toll gate, and he couldn't stand that waiting. So he moved the car out of the main 6 lanes, took an exit. 2.5 hours later, he got to his destination. We would have gotten there in 1 hour, but we took 2.5 hours to get there. And he felt great about it. He spent more gas, more time, more energy, pissed us all off in the car. And he felt great about getting there. Why? Because he was in motion. He was in motion the entire time. He felt good about being in motion, regardless of whether the quality of the outcome was great or not. So you can tell where I'm going with this. So I see a lot of being in motion in large organizations. Okay, it's a tremendous disease, in my opinion. We're all very busy being busy. So my definition, what I call fake speed syndrome. So as I list them, what I want to hear from you is, do you agree or not? Okay? So the first one, the desire for movement, regardless of direction, ultimate goal. Do you agree? Louder, yes? Agree? Okay. The compulsion to stay busy without regard to measurable effectiveness. Agree? Yes. Perfect. The willingness to work around dysfunctions rather than removing them. Do you agree? Yes? That was not so loud. Yes? Agree? The focus on tasks rather than outcomes. Do you agree on that? The safety that comes with the false perception of success. Like my father-in-law. He got there, he felt great, but he was poorer for it. Do you guys agree? Yeah. Would you agree all in all this is a syndrome of fake speed? Yes. So what I'm going to do next is, this is a table activity. So if you're not on a table, or if you're just 2 of you on a table, best to congregate around the table. I'm going to present a scenario to you. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to talk about what does fake speed look like in that scenario. Right? So one of you in the table should be a scribe to write it down. Then we'll take a minute to share with each other, share with other tables, okay? So I'm going to give you 3 scenarios and we're going to talk about fake speed. So we all understand what fake speed looks like? How many of you have seen this in your professional career? A lot of us have some version of this that resonates with you. It immediately resonates with you, right? Yes. So it should be easy then.
But I would also say that all of it is not always so directly attributable. So it's hard to always pinpoint and say, okay, this task will not lead to a direct outcome.
I'm not saying any one of them is absolute.
Okay.
I'm saying as a trend, we tend to work on focus on tasks when we're busy being busy rather than focusing on outcome. And I'm not saying that this alone makes it fake speed. I think most organizations suffer from a combination of these things. Would you agree on that?
Plus others.
And others, yes. But I thought these are the top 5 that I wanted to use as syndrome, right? Alright, so what I'm going to do is present a scenario. 2 minutes to talk about what would fake speed look like in that scenario. You've been given a new assignment, you are now a product owner. You got no training or background, you've been dumped this new role, you got a title. You are product owner. Your team has a backlog, they got that from a BRD.
What is BRD?
Business requirements document. Ah, so sweet, you don't even know what that is. I like it.
Told you.
Obviously, this is the project's in mid-transition of some sort, hasn't been doing well, limped along, they've finally decided probably needs a product owner, they put somebody in here, in the role, it's a sink or swim mode. There are no other artifacts to guide you. So what I'm looking for is 2 minutes. I don't have my phone, so somebody needs to, I need to go get my phone. You got 2 minutes, or you can time it for me, to discuss fake speed. What would fake speed be in this scenario, okay? 2 minutes.
Identifying that there's a title called product owner. That's fake speed, right? So that's basically painting that try to do agile. That's definitely fake speed. You don't even have a proper system in place. How can you have a proper? Yeah, I just.
Because you're not putting words out. You're trying to do something. You're trying to get a certification.
I think you start he's been just handed over the PRD, right? And has no context. What his first objective would be to keep the team busy, right? So whatever he or she understood, will start creating those tasks. I need to deliver something to the team busy, right? Whether it relates to the actual outcome, is it right, wrong, doesn't care about that.
Somebody is writing down the ideas, right? It's table, somebody, one person.
And saying that deliver this.
Using the
PRD document you already have.
Do that.
Great job. It's not being that. That's what I'm saying.
Trying to do something right.
We have to identify what is fake speed in this scenario. What do you think is fake speed?
You got 30 seconds. Oh.
Prioritizing the maximum.
No, that's still a solution. That's still a solution. Like,
But PO doesn't know what
PO has no experience.
You have no background, you have no training.
So what you would do, you would try to protect yourself.
Basically, you're a fake
You
PO.
throw
try
it.
to do stuff by yourself.
Oh, yes. PO starts coding. Or starts delivering.
Because he must be something.
Whatever he was.
So this is basically a fake
All right.
painting.
Time's up. Time's up. All right. First of all, I want to know how easy was it to identify what would fake speed look like?
Quite easy.
Quite easy? Right.
We have been
It seemed natural, right? That's the dangerous part. Keep that. Remember that. Remember that statement. It was natural. Okay. All right. Anyone want to share? Give me one table. Table number one. One thing that you guys called out.
The PO, I mean, he has no relation to the outcome. He's just been given a backlog. All he's trying to do is get the task done from the backlog.
So what is the PO doing?
Nothing. Let's
They're
say.
not doing. He's not doing anything.
You're
Just
getting a
It's a fake
certification.
agile. It's a
Ah,
fake agile painting
okay.
on top of it.
What would you guys? One thing that doesn't sound like theirs.
So PO start allocating the work without prioritization or doing backlog grooming. So just pick up the work and start.
So start sprinting with whatever they will give.
Whatever he or she got.
That's a good one. Anything here you want to share? No. Okay. You were delayed. Oh, okay. Anything you guys want to share? Anything?
So we defined an MVP definition and popularized it.
Oh, you did all
We
that.
scheduled 10 status meetings with 10 different units.
Ah. Okay, but there could have been an MVP already defined.
So you're generating activity.
Okay, generating activity. Anything you guys want to talk about?
Sprint plan and create a given a deadline to the team.
Oh wow. Okay. We love you. We love you. And
We
you.
are saying without understanding the requirements, team starting to do analysis, lots of analysis and producing work, creating velocity. You know?
You're busy creating velocity
Yeah.
because that's the goal.
Yeah.
You're on a sink or swim
That's
mode.
the fake
so
speed.
I
Just
see. Right, so we already know. So next scenario, guys, same thing. This time, not 2 minutes, 1 minute. So now we know what we're looking for. 1 minute, okay? 8 stories in the sprint. 5 developers, 2 testers. Day 4 of the sprint. The culture is that everyone should be busy. All right. So one thing, each table figure out what would fake speed look like. One thing. One fake speed symptom.
Each developer has some.
Okay, timing starts now, okay? Discuss.
Before of the sprint, all of the stories like and waiting for customer, ready for sign off.
They keep changing the scope or keep
Five down.
something else.
No, but the age is fixed.
Plus testing.
Everybody's making themselves busy, so
So they
everybody's
all of them have their own story.
testers are having testing stories, developers are having development stories. You know, so tester cannot start working with the developer.
That's why they are busy, no? Because all of them has their own stories.
Testers have no necessarily architecture in their
That's enough for it. So they are not testing the
All right, time's up. Time's up, guys. All right. One conversation, guys. Yes. What?
All 5 developers develop different stories, are developing different stories, and the testers are working on other stories for
So testers and developers are having their own different stories.
So you're okay. So your table, fake speed is there's stories for developers, the stories for testers, and everyone's working on each of them. So there's like serious issues going on. Okay. Over here.
Pretty much the same thing.
Okay. Over here.
You wanted to say something?
Everybody is working on, each developer is working on each story, and there are 6 stories that are in progress, and nothing is done.
Nothing is getting done. So 6 stories in progress. Okay. All right. So nothing's getting done. All right. Next one, you guys, same thing. So the takeaway here is that I would have said something along the lines of all 8 stories are now in progress of some sort, right? I don't know if I mean, I didn't think about the developer stories or the tester stories, but you guys have real issues here. Which we'll talk about later. All right, last scenario for this fake speed.
Do it for 30 seconds.
No, it's a 1 minute.
Velocity.
6 seconds.
You've been a scrum master for this team for the last 3 months. The team is chugging at the same pace since sprint 3. 3 more folks are going to be added to your team in the next sprint, next week. So what would fake speed look like here?
I pick up more stories. I will not be able to deliver.
That's fake speed, no? That's fake speed. So we are saying we will pick more velocity, so give me more stories.
Velocity is very complete.
They will have skating, set of stories.
Their deadline will go down. So instead of finishing in March, they will finish in February. They're ahead on
The target date will be more and the velocity will go up.
You commit your customers at early go live.
And 9 women having a baby in 9 months.
Yeah, 1 week.
That's correct. 9 people.
Tell them that they need to making justifying the
Is everyone done?
velocity.
All right, gonna pause this. Okay, sorry. You guys lost out. You were the last. You were all done before you, so their fault.
Oh, but maybe they should start.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with you guys? Fake speed in this scenario.
So we feel that the 3 folks that recently joined, instead of giving them proper KT or letting them shadow people, they are given stories to work on immediately, and that becomes in progress. And actually, no progress will actually happen.
Okay, so we've given them work to do immediately. That's one version of fake speed. Good. What's any other? You guys?
They are assigned, like they are also assigned to the same story. So basically, those are like there were some stories which were rejected. Those are picked by them, and they also start getting around that.
Okay. Table in the back. Any others outside of what these guys said? Similar.
We couldn't hear.
Could you repeat what you said?
Yeah, the new joinees are assigned to the stories which are rejected by Kubrick. So they are
fixed bugs.
They are also jugging around those stories.
I just want to add one.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
So
so-
nothing to do with your kid.
No, so it's scrum. So it's very often observed that your speed is, your velocity is 30 and your management now you have 3 more people. Why not it's 40 or 45? Then people need to create some work around it. Knowledge transfer is a story with a story point.
Knowledge transfer is a story with a story point. You guys have some wonderful examples. Okay. Any other things that you want to add?
Actually, we thought about this. The velocity will go up.
Sorry, what did you say?
Assuming sprint 3 was 3 months back, the team chugging at the same velocity would be as well.
Thank you for noticing that. Yes. The fact that you're in sprint 3, you haven't changed your pace over the last 3 months is also a sign of fake speed. You're just going along without any improvements. What were you going to say? I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yeah, we will commit to more work, velocity will go up, and
More
maybe
stories.
we will think about pre-ponding the target date, because now we have more manpower, so we can deliver faster.
Okay, so since you have more people in your team, you can do more work from day one. Anything else? So these scenarios are not uncommon, correct? It seemed to resonate with all of you, and we see this all the time, so it was very natural and easy to do. So since we took the trouble of defining what fake speed looks like, let's take the trouble of defining what effective speed would look like, okay? So I defined it as the desire for the right type of movement at the right time and at the right place. You guys agree with that? That's effective speed, right? The courage to push the ecosystem for a better solution. That's effective speed as well, correct? The willingness to remove the dysfunction rather than work around it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And the focus should be on outcomes, not on tasks, because we have a propensity to focus on tasks because they're easier to measure. They're easier for everyone to see. The last one is the safety that comes with real tangible success. So I defined the syndrome to be this. So there's fake speed, and there's effective speed, right? So going back to those same scenarios, we don't have to do this as a table discussion. What I'm looking for is participation from you guys. That same scenario, that first one, you've been given, you're a PO, you've been dumped on this project, okay, everybody's busy, right, working on something. What would effective speed look like here? This is so much harder, right? It's amazing how much harder it is to think about this.
Revalidate the BRD or the backlog with the actual team.
First understand what the product owner means.
What is the role?
What is the role? Understand
Oh, yeah.
the role and
That's the
responsibility.
Perfect, that's one first step. Step number one is figure out what this new role means, right?
Setting up the operating rhythm around how we are going to operate now, going forward, now that we have a product.
Perfect, because now you have a role that's come in. Now you want to say, what is my engagement with you guys and how are we going to operate as a team? That's the second one. So you take the time to do that, right? What's
See, now talking to all the stakeholders to understand the complete scenario.
Right. Maybe somewhat of a visioning exercise. Hey, what the hell are we trying to do here anyway? You gave me a BRD that doesn't tell me squat about anything. Let me just figure out why and what. This whole BRD is about how. Let's figure out the why and what, right? That's another way. All that means what? You pause. You take the time to stop and make these anything else?
Provide training.
So while
Provide
the PO is
Training.
sorry. Okay. You said provide training. We'll come back to that. What did you say?
so the PO, while PO is getting training and all, but the team is not new. So maybe team talk to the stakeholder, make understand and help the PO as well. Like what is the product?
Right.
Yeah.
And when you said provide training, what did you mean?
So with no training or background, to understand role and responsibility, he should be given some sort of training or like to get the clarity.
So there's training about the role, there's also knowledge about the product, there's also knowledge about what has happened so far. Yes, ma'am?
What does success mean for this team and this product?
Yes, that is what effective speed would actually look like. And also taking time to regroup as a team. So you would have to slow down to go faster, right? That's typically what effective speed would end up doing. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, I think making it realize that it will take time. So communication and a lot of bringing
Right.
everyone on the same page about this.
So the takeaway is you've got to be very intentional if you want to do effective speed. Right? So that takes time. Right. Well, let's go to the next. Yes, sir.
But if you don't have time, then what? Because if the person is
Then you're back to fake speed, right?
again, that's where the problem comes. So
Yes.
if you are put as a product owner in between of a particular sprint or a project, then you do not have time to actually pause and actually do that entire work
Right.
once again.
So you have two choices. You go to run with the culture that's already there. We're going to talk about that for a second. Or you intentionally hit the brakes. At the end of the day, no one's going to remember that you had no time. No one is going to remember.
Having the monetary implications for you.
Right, but at the end of the day, I want you to remember this, that 5 months down the line, no one's going to remember that you were new, you were dumped on in this project, and you had to run with it. All they're going to remember is that you were late. No one's going to remember that you were new.
I think in this scenario there is a challenge that the person don't know what they don't know. It's hard to have the knowledge that we've got around those tables on day one when you are a new product owner with no training, no background, and no
Right.
visibility. So it's actually like the question is, how does a person who just finished uni onboard themselves to the team to have this knowledge?
What is so we're all generally survivalists, right? We all want to survive, we all want to do well. Your natural instinct, forget about it when you graduated from uni. Let's say you're not a not
Then
a
my
uni.
natural instinct would be just to deliver BRD and just hope for the best, right?
Right. You're right. That's what I'm saying. It's natural for us to go with the flow, and I'll just get back to that in a second. Let's go to the next scenario, the second scenario, right? 8 stories, 5 developers, day 6. This is day 6, not day 4. That's a typo probably. I can't remember now. The culture is that everyone should be busy. What does effective speed look like here?
Complete those stories as quickly as possible. Based on the
all the stories are completed by this day 4 and testing will be done.
Is it one
Is that really what effective speed would be?
No. A couple of stories would
Hold
be
on, I have to.
progress.
Sorry. You said everything should be finished by day 4. Is that correct? All right. I could debate that may not be effective speed. I think gentleman in the back raised his hand.
Yeah, limit the work in progress stories. I would say that.
Limit the work in progress and focus on maybe the top 2 or top 3.
The most valuable ones.
Because what does your goal change to? If in effective speed, what does your goal change to?
Deliver value.
Deliver something. In fake speed, what is your goal? Get everything started. Right? And the goal should be get something to done before getting something started. Right? Yes, ma'am.
With the peer programming, because the culture is to be busy, so
Right.
bring the tester and the developer together on the story to make sure.
Right. That's just the means to that end, but the goal changes. In effective speed, your goal changes, right?
move towards out.
Sorry?
Moving towards
Oh, time's up already. Yeah. All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to go to the third scenario. Why do we see so much of this fake speed? Because much of what we do is habitual, right? And that habit is what we actually absorb when we join an organization, either intentionally or just by chance. So the culture is what drives fake speed a lot more than effective speed.
Peer pressure.
It is the culture of the organization because the notion of productivity was to stay busy.
Yeah.
Billing, and you are all, I'm a vendor to most organizations, you guys are all vendors to organizations. Frankly, you got to be billed, and if you're billing, I want to see you busy. I want to see you at your desk, I want to see you doing hand to keyboard work.
Fill your time sheets.
That's right. So, Toyota, the Toyota kata system, have you guys heard of it?
Yes.
Right? It's a pretty incredible thing. It's kata. What is kata? Does anyone know what kata is? It's
a sequence of slow moving steps.
Well, it's a routine. It's a routine that you have to do, practice over and over again till it becomes part of your DNA. Unfortunately, what's in our DNA is to go with the flow of the culture we go into. That's what's in our DNA. An improvement kata is to be intentional about where we are, where we want to go, and then take an iterative step closer to it. As Agilists, that should be our goal. Okay? So I have a manifesto for us, which is not the same classic manifesto. We value being effective over being busy. We value taking time to orient before just doing the next thing. We learn to negotiate before assuming no flexibility, because this is what we do. This is why fake speed happens. We want to delight the customer over delivering the plan. We want to set realistic expectations over not confronting assumptions. Everything on the left is effective speed. Everything on the right is fake speed. Thank you so much.